As you guys know by now, I love to embark on totally random adventures, whether that be on foot, on plane or anything else. But this week I decided to switch it up and simply use buses as my means of transportation. For this challenge, I'd spend a total of 24 hours sat on various buses to see how far I could make it away from home. The journey would be a tough challenge, but would also be a unique way of seeing new places. So I woke up at 2 AM, kissed goodbye to my dog, went down to the local bus station and set off on the early coach to London, a journey that will take me about 4 hours.
What have I got myself into?
I tried my best to sleep on this bus, but failed badly, as I watched time pass outside the window, anticipating what lay ahead, whilst planning the second leg of the trip. 4 hours later, and I'd arrived in the city of London. There wasn't too much to see near this coach station, but I was too tired to venture much further into the English capital, and I was also quite low on time.
Okay, so first off, yeah, I've recorded most of today on my phone so far, and I've only recorded like 20 seconds because it has been pretty busy. Honestly, like on a coach, it's so awkward vlogging in public. But yeah, what have I got myself into? I was hoping to sleep on that coach, get at least 4 hours, but I didn't get a single second. The guy next to me turned around and said, "You cannot sleep on coaches, not possible." So that's not too reassuring. But yeah, I have found the next bus that I'm going to get. I've got a 45-minute wait and it's going to take me to Paris. I think this bus is going to take about 8 hours, maybe 9 hours, something like that. Which means when I get to the other end, I'll still have 10 more hours to complete until the 24 hours is done. So I really have potential to get quite far.
The upcoming journey would actually take about 9 hours, but since more than 2 of those would be spent on the ferry, it was expected to be a total of 7 hours actually on the coach. Soon enough, the stopwatch continued, and I was back on the road again. Immediately, I'd experienced an issue, as we arrived into the port of Dover 30 minutes late due to an issue with the bus.
So, the journey has suddenly gone from smooth to insanely upside down, because for some reason the ferry did not let us on. It's a little bit annoying, but there's not really anything I can do about it at the end of the day, so it is what it is. But what it does mean is that I'm going to get into Paris super late, so I really don't know which coaches are going to be available.
This delay had added about 45 minutes onto the clock, but also set me back about 3 hours in terms of the arrival time, meaning I could be limited in my options of where to go next. But finally, after the 2.5 hour wait, we were boarding the ferry.
So I'm currently on the ferry and I've got about an hour till I get to France. So far, I've been on coaches for less than 9 hours, which means I've still got 15 hours to go. So there's a lot of potential here, and I could definitely make it quite far.
But for now, it was time to relax, as the ferry sailed smoothly over the channel towards France. This part of the journey was certainly the best bit so far, as it gave me a chance to escape the bus, enjoy the sea air and stretch my legs, before I headed back onto the coach and made my way for the city of Paris. Unfortunately, as we drifted through the French countryside, the coach's issues continued, and it maxed out at about 40 miles per hour, falling badly behind schedule.
Okay, so a bit of an update for you. I'm now in France officially, but the bus is going insanely slow, so I don't know how long it's going to take to get to Paris, but by the time I get there, I'm going to be so tired. I don't know if I can face another long bus. But yeah, I do have one booked now, but I'm not totally convinced I'll get there on time, so find out soon, I guess.
After a quick stop to try and fix the bus, it continued south, and another hour had been added onto the total travel time, setting me back quite badly. Regardless, despite the breakdowns in traffic, we had made it to the city of Paris, just as the sun began to set.
Well, for the first time since 2018, I'm back in Paris. So this journey did take about 3 hours longer than expected, meaning that I've now been on buses for a total of 12 hours and 45 minutes. Now that is a pretty big setback, to be honest. It should have taken about 10 hours, but it's overrun quite badly. So that does sadly mean we're going to be able to travel not as far as I expected, or not as far as I wanted to, but nevertheless, we should still get a good distance. So I have booked onto the next coach, which might be the final one, because it takes about 11 hours apparently. Obviously there could be delays, or it could even be there early, but if it stays as it is, then the final destination will be a place called Lourdes. Also, on a bit of a side note, today's really not been as bad as I expected. Obviously the whole bus thing is a lot slower than flying, but I did manage to sleep on the last one, and at the same time I've also been surrounded by some great people on the coaches, which, you know, again, that's a big help. So let's hope it stays the same for what might be the final journey.
Before embarking on what will potentially be my final journey, I took the time to relax and enjoy a few sights around the capital. But despite this attempted calming period, I was still insanely tired, having now had about 2 hours of sleep in the last 24 hours. And to make things worse, the clock had also gone forward, meaning I was now suffering from bus lag.
Train number 3, bus number 3. 12 hours to go. But 100% I'm going to sleep as much as I can on this.
The coach soon departed Paris, heading south as I continued with the mission of getting as far from home as possible. Soon enough, I'd woken up from a short sleep to witness the amazing sunrise. So far, this journey had seemed pretty smooth, but as I enjoyed the scenery around me, my personal comfort was becoming my biggest problem. After almost 30 hours of travelling, I was starting to feel the effects.
I think I'm about an hour away right now. The scenery looks nicer, but I feel so sick. And my knees are dead, so I cannot wait to get off this bus. I'm also so tired. I think I'm going to sleep the second I get here, unless I still have to go further, which is possible.
Thankfully, with the stopwatch telling me that only an hour of bus travelling remained, the coach began the approach for Lourdes, and it seemed as though the adventure would soon be coming to an end, at a location which was starting to look quite amazing. The bus is done. Finally, I was in Lourdes, and immediately I was greeted by a feeling of confusion as chickens, houses, watermelons and strawberries drove past me, leaving me pretty bamboozled. I have no idea what's happening. I'm so confused. It all kind of felt like a lucid dream, or it wasn't. This was simply the start of the Tour de France.
Okay, so a bit of an update. I booked a hotel here because I assumed the bus would arrive pretty much after 24 hours were complete, but it turns out I've actually still got 6 minutes to go. Realistically, with how things are right now, with the Tour de France celebrations going on, a bus is not going to go far in 6 minutes. So I think I'm just going to look around Lourdes today, and then tomorrow I'll get on that final bus and see how far I can get by the time 24 hours is complete. It's been about 32 hours since I left my house yesterday morning. The first day of travelling wasn't that bad, maybe the first 20 hours, but that last journey just absolutely took it all out of me. But yeah, that aside, I don't know too much about this place. I have heard of it before, but it does look very nice.
I decided, since I was here at the perfect time, that I may as well sit down and watch the Tour de France. But as quickly as it had started, it had finished.
Well, I've just seen the Tour de France. That's pretty cool, and I did not expect that today.
Afterwards, I decided to do some chilled out sightseeing around a city with a super religious background. Being a Catholic pilgrimage site, it had a lot of religious places, including a grotto known for its miraculous healing abilities. I was joined here by Daniel, a Mexican friend that I'd met on the previous bus, as we toured around the beautiful city together until the day came to an end. The following morning, I decided to wake up early, since this challenge still wasn't over, and I still had 8 minutes of bus travel to go. I headed out into the now gloomy city, ready for one last journey, and somewhat spontaneously, I found myself on bus number 4. With the stopwatch now rolling again, I drifted into the mountain range that bordered France and Spain, as I gave it one last push to make it as far away from home as possible. But soon enough, my time was up.
Merci. Au revoir.
After 24 hours of bus travel, I had made it to my final destination, Agos-Vidalos, or however you pronounce that.
So, after 24 hours, 1 minute and 30 seconds on the bus, I had made it all the way to southern France, to a place called Agos-Vidalos. Now, I don't have a single clue what's here, but there is a hotel, and there are some insanely nice mountains surrounding me, so without a doubt there's got to be some nice walks here, 100%. So I guess today I'm just going to see what I can find and make the most of this place after such a long time sitting down.
Since this was my final destination, it was only fair that I gave the place a proper explore and a real adventure. As always, I wanted to explore the place by myself, without having to use Google, and I knew for sure that in a place as scenic as this, there'd be something interesting to do.
I think I'll just have a look anyway, and if I don't find anything, then I will resort to Google.
Not so long later, I'd stumbled across a small nature reserve, which offered information regarding local walks. So that's exactly what I decided to do, go on a walk and see the area on foot. I headed up the mountain, unsure of what I'd encounter aside from the guaranteed scenic views offered along the way. Regardless of how hard the climb was going to be, it just felt nice being able to use my legs again, and experience some fresh air.
Well, there's no way I'm going to need Google today.
This mountain was over 1,000 meters high, but despite being super tired, I was already halfway up, and I knew that it's likely that I'd never come back here again. So I thought to myself that I may as well do my best to make the most of this moment.
I think I'm about 1,000 meters up now. It's about 30 degrees, I think, maybe 28. Honestly, I am sweating so bad, but wow, the view so far is insane. So give it another 300 meters, and I can only assume it's going to somehow be even better.
After following the path and somewhat struggling to pull myself to the top, I was so close to making it. For others who were fitter and less tired than me, this really was just a light walk in the park. But I was here for the enjoyment, and enjoying it I definitely was. This place was simply amazing and made the long journey feel absolutely worth it. And aside from simply enjoying the view, I also found something quite interesting.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what that would have been. It definitely looks like some kind of vehicle though.
This wreckage almost looked like an old cable car, which I'd soon find out would make a lot of sense.
Okay, maybe the view's not that good up here.
As I approached the top, I entered the clouds which I'd earlier on been admiring from down below. The view up here may now have been obscured, but the mountain top offered yet another gem in the form of a disused mountain hotel, which now explained what the old ruins down below may have been. Although there wasn't much to see inside the building, it was still an interesting find, and looked absolutely incredible when surrounded by the mist. It also symbolised the fact that I'd now made it to the top, and to the end of this incredible adventure.
Guys, we made it. Today has been insane. In fact, the last 48 hours have been insane. And this is ultimately where I've ended up. After making it to the peak, and making it hundreds of miles away from home, I can definitely say, what an adventure. But for now, stay tuned, and there will be more coming soon. That is a guarantee.
After travelling for 24 hours on coaches, I'd made it almost 1,000 miles from home. As I'd crossed the ocean, watched the sunset in Paris, met new people, joined in with a pilgrimage, seen a world-famous bike race, and climbed a mountain. This last-minute adventure might just have been one of my greatest yet. Despite my fears of what could go wrong, in the end, everything had gone right. And all of this had started, quite simply, at my local bus stop.